Yeah, you can't overthink it. I think people are conditioned to think that conditions have to be perfect. It's ridiculous. Like, just do it. Like, there's nothing, think about it less and do it. If you're being called to do something, do it. You know?
Yeah.
That's the thing.
Welcome to the Be It Till You See It podcast, where we talk about taking messy action, knowing that perfect is boring. I'm Lesley Logan, Pilates instructor and fitness business coach. I've trained thousands of people around the world, and the number one thing I see stopping people from achieving anything is self-doubt. My friends, action brings clarity, and it's the antidote to fear. Each week, my guests will bring bold, executable, intrinsic, and targeted steps that you can use to put yourself first and be it till you see it. It's a practice, not a perfect. Let's get started.
Okay, loves, if you're watching this episode on YouTube, you are not looking at twin sisters. However, I do think that our guest this week, Ripley Rader, and I do have some genes that can be shared because, oh my God, there's just so much that I love about this episode. I'm gonna have a hard time picking it out, but there's some little nuggets in here that you're gonna want to rewind, hit again. There's one towards the very end before we go into the ad break that I'm like, oh, yes to all of this. So I am so excited to have this guest on because she's a brand I see all the time. And she's one of these brands that I've like looked at and I thought like, oh my God, like she's just getting, I remember hearing about her 10 years ago. And now here she is, she's everywhere. She feels like she's everywhere. She's still growing. And it's just so fun to hear the journey and meet the maker behind something and also get honest advice from someone in the world who's doing their thing. And I think too often the world of Instagram and all these people trying to tell you like, be yourself, just do it. Like how? That's why this podcast exists. How? And I want the honest truth behind it. And you're going to get that from today's guest. So Ripley Rader is our guest. She is the founder of those amazing pants that are always showing up in your feeds, and you are going to look like a badass in them. And you're going to hear why she's so obsessed with that. And I think this is going to be one of the most favorite episodes you have. It's one of my favorites. So thank you so much for being a listener. Thank you very, very much for sharing the episodes. They are how, honestly, you sharing the episodes, how we get more listeners, how we can continue to get guests that inspire you to take messy action, ditch perfection, and be it till you see it. Here's Ripley. All right, Be It Babe. I have a fabulous guest. I'm gonna be really honest. When this person came across my radar, I was like, is this the person whose pants are in my feed every single day? Because yes, I do want to talk to this amazing woman. I love to talk to women who have like taken an idea and then not only made it into fruition, but have like somehow, become omnipresent in our lives because these are the women that we can all learn from. So Ripley Rader, thank you so much for being our guest today. Can you tell everyone who you are, and in case they haven't heard of you, what you do?
Well, that's like the nicest introduction. So thank you for that. You're also my agent. My name is Ripley Rader. I am the founder and CEO of Ripley Rader, same name, brand name. We sell women's contemporary clothing. We're particularly known for our pants. So yes, but we are American made, American founded, ethically produced company, proudly.
And also not easy to do.
No, not easy to do, and not easy to do at our price point, even though it is a little higher than some others. But yes, it's something that's very important to me, and I won't bend on it.
Yeah, I love that. I mean, like, we can go so many places, but earlier this year, our servers were attacked. And so all of our websites went down, the whole thing. And like, it was, yeah. So, insert like vomit, gag, like all the chills. I just died. And they were down for 6 days. And so it was just like daily, like, okay, it's still not up. Okay. So here's another email. Here's another post where I'm like, hey guys, thanks so much. But it was the values of transparency, authenticity, like all their values that you put together that was like, okay, well, these are our values and we have to live through them right now. And how do we get people their classes and how do we do this so that like They don't have to be on the website, like getting creative and using the values. And so I love that you're like, I'm not going to bend on this. It must be ethically produced. It must be here. And we have to do it at a price point that is achievable, even if it is on the higher end. I think that like, it makes it easier to know what to say yes and no to.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. You know, what's right for you. And that's something people always say. They used to say to me, when you get big, it's not gonna, and I'm like, well, we're big, so we're still doing it. So I don't know what to say to you. Like, maybe you just, you start your own company somewhere else. But with this, we really stand true to it. We're proud of it.
Yeah. So let's like go into that. Like, I mean, obviously being a woman CEO, it's still a rare thing, unfortunately. And then of course you're told things like, oh, well, you can do that now, but when you get bigger, you can't do that. So how did you kind of basically go, I'm going to do this anyways? And then kind of, how do you handle facing that kind of adversity?
Well, I have delusional self-esteem, and I think that a bunch of idiots have started companies and become really successful. And so my whole thinking is, if one person has done it, there's not a reason I couldn't do it as well. And I'm not afraid to learn as I go. So we signed on someone relatively new in a position, and she goes, I'm learning. I'm so sorry. She was apologizing. I'm just getting I'm just figuring out the ropes. And I was like, we're all just figuring out the ropes at whatever level you're at. So if you can be vulnerable enough to be like, I'm just learning this, I don't know what I don't know, and learn it, whether it's YouTube, whether it's like I had in the very beginning, when I started shooting during the pandemic, when I had to scale back financially, I like went on YouTube to go, how do I use a camera? And then I had incredible mentors come forward, like Ripley, let me teach you. But I think that there's a willingness to learn is the key to listen to yourself and then learn, and not be, there's no shame in that. Like there's no shame in not knowing what you don't know. Yeah. And so then with no shame, then you don't feel constantly small, because there's an earnestness in building a business. And I'm just as proud as the business I started 10 years ago, as I am now. I'm prouder of that person. My life is much easier now. It's bigger now, but the grind was 8 years ago, when like I couldn't get arrested by anybody. And you just keep doing it. And now it's a lot different. But I think that's I also just don't listen to many people. I have like 4 people I listen to.
So, okay. Yes. Okay. As someone who's on, like I'm on YouTube, I'm all of the things, and we coach a lot of businesses, and they're like, oh my God, these people are so mean to me. And I'm like, are they on your list of people you listen to? Because if they're not, you got to go, they're hurting. Like they're not, like you cannot take that in, because you could, and then on the flip side, there's so much information out there. You could be listening to 17,000 coaches for free between Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube. And so I love that you're like, I have these 4 people who like I get advice from, and that's where I go. That had to be really, it's kind of hard to tune out the noise, but then once you can do it, it really helps pave the way.
It is. And I'll listen to, I mean, in some ways we listen to anyone. When I was 3 years into the business, I brought on my husband to help. And so he is running operations, and we talk all the time about, people want to pitch us ideas and stuff. We'll listen, but we don't absorb. I mean, we sometimes there'll be something and we'll be like, ooh, that's a little gem. Everything else you're saying is complete crap. But that momentary like flash of brilliance we'll take, but nothing, like you say, nothing permeates, except if it truly is about 4 people. If they say something, I listen. One of which is my 18-year-old intern. She is absolutely, now I brought her on as a full-on assistant. She's brilliant and smart and thinks outside the box and isn't limited by what happens to you when you become an adult. And so she's one of the ones. But I mean, I don't think it has to be like, none of the people who are my touchstones are like business advisors. They're just people I really deeply trust and know have my back.
Yeah. I love that you have an 18-year-old. I think I wish we all had one. Just like, where are the 18-year-olds?
They're amazing, and they're going to save us. Gen Zs run my whole company. Everyone under, besides me, I'm 42.
Okay.
everyone else is like 26 and under. Everyone.
I love that so
Amazing.
much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
Yeah. My husband also came on, and he now is a CEO. So like everyone was calling me the CEO, and I was like, why am I on all these meetings? Like, well, you're the CEO. And I'm like, so I'm the ideas person. And when I heard Seth Godin go, no, there's like a CVO, there's a chief visionary officer. I'm like, that's me. That's my job.
Yeah.
You do the
that's
meetings.
cool.
You can be the
Yeah.
CEO and you can hire all the people.
Yeah.
I'm going to be over here with my ideas.
Yeah.
I want to go back because you said something and I want to highlight it. You have been doing this for 10 years. I want to highlight that because I think so many people are seeing you everywhere, seeing the amazing product you put out, and they're thinking she just blew up. She's an overnight success. It happened in the last couple of years. I've been paying attention to my ads. That's not true. You've been working your tail off for 10 years, probably
10
more.
years. 10 years. 10 years.
And you said the version of you 8 years ago, like, my gosh, what she had to do. You're so proud of, like, how is it like to like, just be like holding the torch, like, hey, listen to me, arrest me, buy my pants. How was that to get to where you have an 18-year-old who can help you do the things?
Yeah. I think this goes back to a really deep belief in yourself and what you're offering. So I'm as proud of my products today as I was 8 years ago. I have the same pride in them, and I know they're good. And I haven't changed anything from 8 years ago. Like, it's the same products. I mean, of course, additional ones, but I think that it's a matter of like, I think that you have to have delusional self-esteem or delusional belief in yourself and in your product. And you have to be sort of tilted to it. Like, I forget who said that. I didn't, that's a quoting of someone brilliant that I'm blanking on, but it's this idea of being mildly obsessed with what you do. And knowing that, like, not being popular then had nothing to do with who I was. I needed more people to know me. And I knew if they knew me, my brand, they would love it. They would love them. And so I just sort of stayed true to that. So I really didn't let it affect my thought of who I was or who, whatever. And I just kept thinking, if more people, and that's when marketing is wonderful, where and it's the truth. Now that we are out to so many people, I have to respond all the time to people on Instagram. And a lot of times it's me responding because we're just growing our team. In the past 2 years, we've exploded. So we don't have enough people to do everything. So I have people obviously on my team responding to customer service, but we can't get to everything. So it'll be me personally responding, going, we are not some Instagram marketing company. We are like a tiny team. We're a team. Our corporate team is a team of, including shipping and receiving, 10 people. That's including me, like any C-suite people, any creatives, any operations, like, and then of course we have our factories and our, other teams subcontracted, but we're small but mighty. And so I think because of that, I try to show that there's humanity, because I think we're all conditioned to be like, where's my thing in 28 hours? I mean, it's like ridiculous, And so when I remind people that there's humanity in this, there's nothing more personal than a business. Outside yourself or your family, like I want to say to each of my clients, like, every pair of pants that you buy, like, helps our community, and money goes back into the community and back into America. And people are building homes and, educations for their children. And that really means something.
Yeah. I'm also in my own Instagrams, and I'm in the comments of all of them. And it's really interesting when I respond to people, because they're like, I can't log into this thing. And I'm like, well, we do have customer support. Like, we have, there exists. Yeah. But of course, in the day and age of social media, they're like, I can't log in. And I'm like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. And they're like, oh, hi. And I'm like, it's okay. like
we're human.
I can't help you actually, because I'm not the tech person, but here are like 3 things you should try right now. And also here's 2 places to reach my tech team. And then let me know that you're in so I can like note that. And that humanity, bringing that to your business is so key, because I think people also want to know they matter. I mean, that's probably why you created your line. It's like, it's not just to build a pant that didn't exist in the world. It's because you want every woman who's wearing them to feel like they matter. They're the most beautiful, most confident, most amazing person in their own world. And so, having humanity in your business is not easy. And especially as it grows, there's certain things, like I was talking to someone yesterday, like, well, how do we get you more out of the business? You could do these things over here. And I'm like, well, there's some things I just don't want to let go of yet. Like I don't ever. Right. I really had
like Sarah Blakely, wasn't she? I mean, she was involved with Spanx hands-on till the very end. Till she sold it. And she was like the main negotiator for the sale of it. So like this concept that you have to let things go, of course things need to get delegated.
Right.
But what you value, you should stay on top of.
Yeah. It's so,
that's what I think.
I agree. And I'm like, and I think I realize I'm fighting to be this busy with these things, but these things don't bother me. Like writing the newsletter to the people who've given us their email, like that's a big deal. That's their email. They're saying, yes, you can email me. I want to write that right now. And I love it. I love writing to them. I love that thing. And yes, it does take my time, but I'd rather that than like they're getting an email from somebody who's trying to be me.
Yeah, that's the thing. Yeah, I'm really involved in that as well. And it's really important. It's really important.
So also like seeing an idea to fruition and like, now here we are 10 years into it. Like, what are some things that you do to keep your eye on the vision of what you've been wanting to grow? Because also I think like at some point, like you got there, right? Like people are wearing your pants, you've blown up really big. So like, did you like go back to the drawing board of like, okay, what's the next step? Like what's the next thing? What's the next mountain we're going for? Or are you still working towards the same goal?
I am never satisfied. I am on fire all the time to an obsessive degree. And so I've always got more ideas on where we can go. And so that's part of my fire, I think. And then I have to have a team around me who's like, okay, it's not if, it's how do we do it? And good timing. Like I'm not going to create a new big launch in the middle of another launch. Like I'm not going to launch something fun and exciting and fire building in the middle of like my pre-fall launch. So we're on a calendar, and then within that calendar I go, how do I grow the company? How do I reach more people? And in some fashion worlds they do fashion shows and they do that sort of world. I don't play in that circle. For me, as a self-funded company, that financially is just not on the table. I'd rather that money go different places. And so I figure out where is it that I want to put my energy, both in my brain and in my wallet, towards whatever I think will really benefit us. And also, like, we have a new campaign coming out that's called it's our jumpsuit, which is my original piece, but no one knows. I was only selling jumpsuits for the first 3 years of the company. I make like the best jumpsuit in the business, but nobody knows it because they all know my pants. And so I've got this jumpsuit that we're relaunching as this like sisterhood of the traveling jumpsuit. We shot it on like 5 different women or 10, all different ages, all different sizes, because hot is hot. And so it's like this, imagine an army of women not afraid to stand out, is the whole concept behind it. And that to me is something I can sink my teeth into. Those are the kind of like launches and fire and brand building that I can get behind, rather than possibly at this point in our game, spending an equal amount of money doing a fashion show or something. I mean, meanwhile, I just came from the Fear of God fashion show at the Hollywood Bowl, and it changed my life. I wept. So I do believe there's value in it, but he's a few steps ahead of me. And so I think if you're going to do it, you got to do it right. Like they did, Fear of God did. And so it's a matter of like, okay, until I'm there, what can I do on my scale to sort of widen the viewership, widen the women I get to dress.
Yeah. I think that's also, there's something about that kind of those kind of like limitations that get me a little bit excited. Like, of course, I'm frustrated. I'm like, I want to do the thing that I want to do when I want to do it. But then like, I find that the more limitations I've ever had, even though I hate them, I create something even better in that moment than I could have if it didn't exist. And so there's something about like not seeing obstacles as like a stop sign, but rather like a way to like guide you and like challenge you in a way to take something to the next level. So I hear you. I think it's really important to, it's so easy for us to see the people in front of us and like try to keep up with them and not realize like we can actually do a really freaking good job where we are, and we can do it a unique way that hasn't been done before.
Yeah. And you're just not in competition with anybody else. I mean, like there are some incredible designers based out of LA. Heidi Merrick is one, ALC is one. I mean, you have Misa Los Angeles is one for Love and Lemons. These are incredible women who have started companies, and we all do different things. None of us, of course, like we're all fighting for the same dollars in some ways, but like not, my respect for them is so deep that I feel more than any competition, there's just like, we're all sort of in it together. And so I really don't play the comparison game with my brand. We have a no blame game in our company because we all mess up all the time, and we don't compare. I will look at other people and go, God, their work was so good. Or man, Tory Burch's like fashion show down like a New York City street was like the most incredible thing. But I can just respect that. And the comparison game will kill you.
Yeah.
And I won't, the only person I'm competing against is myself, really, on how to, at this point, how to continue to grow so we can continue to keep our staff and, that sort of thing. Like, I don't think, I stay out of that because I don't think it's healthy. If I can just focus on me and what we do and how to, I don't know. My own path is my path, and I just don't play with when I do, I really try to I'm not perfect. So there are days where I'm like, I have to unfollow or mute this for 30 days. Like it's too much for me.
That's my favorite button.
Yeah.
It's
and
like
it's
wonderful.
Yeah. It's a wonderful thing. I have, I work with a lot of teen girls and I actually have a podcast where I interview them. And one of them was like, sometimes you just have to do it. You have to say what's important for my mental health. And it doesn't mean that you love them any less, whoever it is. It just means that right now you're feeling vulnerable and you need to take a step back from it because their victories are not your failures. But,
yes.
But I think we're all human. None of us are perfect.
Yeah, no, that's the whole reason the show exists. It's like being imperfect, taking the messy action. But I thank you for sharing that, like, you're not perfect. And also, I think I agree. Like we can't be in competition with anybody. Like one of my girlfriends, her podcast is like thriving. And I had this impression that we like started at the same time. I had this moment of going, oh my God, like, wow, I must have done something wrong along the way. Like, and then I looked, she started her podcast 3 years before me. So she should be way ahead of me. Like that is just a sign that like, oh, time is also helpful in this world. Yeah. So,
you never know, like so much of fashion is funded differently. And so you don't know if I don't know if a certain brand is owned a whole, like I own 100% of my company. A lot of brands that are bigger than me don't, because they have a little bit more capital to throw into it. And so there are so many things at play that you're like, there's just so much that you're like, oh, it's not a fair game. Yeah. It's not a fair game.
Yeah. Okay. So we do business coaching for fitness instructors, and they're like, well, I charge what everyone else is charging. I'm like, you don't know if they own the building. You don't even know if they're profitable. You don't even know if they're doing this for charity out of the kindness of their heart. You have no idea if they are just have family wealth. And so this is like the way they kick the time around. You have to go off of your game. Like
yeah, it just has nothing to do with anybody else. That's the thing. I think if we can constantly remind ourselves that that it's really just about you and your purpose. And if you can constantly go back to what's my purpose, then you have this like freedom. And you talked about boundaries earlier, and it's like, when directors get to make a movie with no budget, it usually sucks. Like no budget limitations. Yeah. Or I'm married, and I even think of my friendships. Like there's there's boundaries in that, and whatever the agreements are and whatever agreements you decide to make with your partner or your friends or whatever, but within that you can thrive.
Mm-hmm.
And so it gives me, I love it. Like I have to say, I really have enjoyed, I decided not to take outside funding years and years ago. And because of that, I've been like, when other people, go like this straight up, I'm like the little engine that could behind them.
Yeah.
And I think because of that, I had to step out of the circus. I had the comparison game,
Yeah.
because I knew I could not compete with people whose funding included like, an empire that
Yeah.
they're getting to use.
I mean,
and so I didn't play. I don't play that game.
Yeah. I think that like, it's, I mean, it's not, if you're listening to this and you took an investment in your business, like game on, like,
no,
like,
I want you to like,
Yeah.
please. I think, but for me, it was something that what happens in fashion often is if you get an outside investor, you lose some creative control.
Mhm.
And I did not want that. And so that is the reason primarily that I didn't take outside funding.
Yeah.
Because I didn't want to lose the creative control. Now, I know a lot of people who have outside funding and they're still absolute chief creative officer and their word. But I was a Broadway dancer, like, and singer, like I didn't go to school for fashion or anything. I just made my own clothes my whole life. And so I don't know about the fashion world at all. So I didn't want, like, I can't pretend to know. So I just don't play the game. I just stay out of it. Like, Jen and I always laugh. We could be selling hammers. Like, it happened. I care more about making women feel great, because looking great is easy. It's how you feel in your clothes that matter.
Oh my gosh. Okay. So I want to go to, you didn't go to fashion school. You just happened to be someone who made your own clothes. There had to be some be it till you see it moments. And like, I'm going to go make clothes and I'm going to make a business. Like,
well, it was interesting because I like being it. It's funny because for acting and singing, it was total be it till you see it. It was like, I've got my eye on the prize and blah, blah. But with fashion, it was like, I made my own clothes and I swore I would never make clothes for other people because sewing was one of my greatest joys. And I didn't want to ever have to impress or please other people with my sewing or my designs. Cut to 10 years ago, I'm at a concert maybe 12 years ago. 10. I'm at a concert in Vegas wearing a jumpsuit I made, and this woman buyer at Fred Siegel, which is arguably the best boutique in Los Angeles, maybe the country, said, well, I own a store at Fred Siegel. If you make in America and you can make this for this price point, I'll sell you. I'll give you the launch.
My God. I used to run a store inside of Fred Siegel.
No way.
Yeah. Inside of Santa Monica store.
Do you know Rocks and Silk, Joy Davis?
Yes.
So Joy is one of my dearest friends now, but she said to me, if you do this, I will sell you. And and she's like, I need three different jumpsuit colors, because I only made jumpsuits, and I need 2 sizes. And so I did her size, and I did I did a small and an extra small.
Oh my gosh. Okay. So I left Fred Siegel to become a Pilates instructor. And I really wasn't, I didn't want to, but like I was getting so busy teaching, but like it was so hard for me to let go. Cause y'all back in the day, it used to be a mall without walls. I don't know what happened when they sold, but I worked for Ice Accessories, and not to be confused with the Ice Scene, very different thing. This is like high end, amazing jewelry, amazing bags, all the things. Yeah. And also from one of the like top retailers, like the retail, like lords of the world. And so I was learning so much, but I got 40% off every store in Fred Siegel. And so
heaven.
Like, heaven, any store. I was like, oh, look at those jeans over there at the denim bar. Like,
I love the denim bar.
So that's crazy. So you're in Vegas, you're wearing your thing. This person's like, I want you to make this for me. And so you end up in the most amazing, hottest spot to be, where like literally celebrities are going and like doing their own shopping. And then what happened?
It was like, she said that to me, and I looked into it a little bit. And then a week later, I was at a party, and the fashion editor for LA Magazine, Linda Mediato, she came up to me because I was pretty broke at the time. So I'm wearing the same jumpsuit that I had made. And she goes, where'd you get it? Because I would get stopped by women everywhere. And I said, it's funny, Linda, I made it. And I think I might launch at Fred Siegel. This is so crazy. I'm like a Broadway. I've just made clothes for myself, blah, blah. And she goes, well, when you do, this is when blogs were very popular. She was like, I'll do a blog story on you. And then I called in a few favors from my fancy red carpet celebrity friends, and they wore me. And then, but I went on Craigslist and found these guys, and they were like part of a gang, I think. I don't know, but it was sketchy. It was like a really sketchy spot where they used to make my clothes. And because I never sewed my clothes for the masses, like
Right.
I know I can make clothes for myself, but I didn't have the kind of training or the machines that I needed to go commercial. So they made my first like 50 jumpsuits. I think I sold 50 jumpsuits in 6 months or a year or something. And now if I sell less than 50 a day, I'm mad. It's like that thing.
Yeah, that is, what a story. I love that because I think some people can get so caught up on like, okay, I need to know the buyers. I need to know who this is. Like they get caught up in the next steps.
Oh my God.
And,
yes.
and not caught up in like the thing that they could become obsessed with. And you weren't even really trying to, but like you didn't let the cart lead the horse. You're like, I love this jumpsuit and I can make my own clothes, and people are liking it. So I'm just going to make this thing that they like. And I'm going to
you can't overthink it. I think people are conditioned to think that conditions have to be perfect. It's ridiculous. Like, just do it. Like, there's nothing, think about it less and do it. If you're being called to do something, do it,
Yeah.
That's the thing.
So what was the, like, so then you go from being a performer to being a business owner. And like, also there's like, when you're selling wholesale, there's like all these terms. Some people pay upfront, some people pay on delivery, some people pay 120 days later.
Yeah. So we don't do any of that. We're like credit card or nothing. I think maybe one of our first accounts, we did a net 30 because I had a personal relationship with the buyer. But no, we didn't. It was funny. It was like, I didn't, when I was starting, I didn't know margins. I didn't know anything. And we had a sales rep rep us from the beginning on the East Coast, and she really taught us everything. She knew we had a really good product. And so she was like, I think you guys have, and we just did jumpsuits at the time. So she was like, I really think that you guys have some legs. Let me sort of tell you how it should go. And we just listened to her word as gospel and like did this markup and this markup. And I was like, I think we've got something here. And we were slow. The first couple of years, I think across the board in 2 years, we got in like 100 boutiques, which is pretty big, considering our slow, like we weren't, explosive everywhere. But then we slowly got reps all over the country to rep us. And just in the past, like 2 years, 3 years, we've gotten like what I believe to be like the dream team of reps across the country, repping us. And so we are, and we don't do deals that are crappy. I don't care if it's, the best boutique in quotations or best major store. We don't do things that won't make us money.
So you guys, you have to understand what that means. You have to like, put that on your boards and keep it as gospel, because when I was in retail, so I started in retail in 2002, and was in it until 2010. And, there be these designers who just I won't say the name of the shop, even though they're closed, but I don't need them to come after me. There's this one particular shop in Hollywood that is well known for never paying. They would never pay. And I would have designers we'd sell their stuff at our store, and they would literally have to go in to the shop and just steal their own product back because they never got paid. And they wanted so badly to be seen in this store because that's where like the paparazzi were at the time, which was a big deal, like all these things. And they had this idea that if they're in there, they're going to make it. And it actually cost them, some of them, it cost them the opportunity to grow because they didn't have any of the money and they didn't get any of the fame.
Yeah, you have to have, that's why we don't do net 30. That's why we take a credit card. Because I have a pretty good business mind, and so does my husband. And I love art. If I just wanted to make art, I would be making art on the Lower East Side and living in a garage somewhere. But ultimately, I want to dress a ton of women. And to do that means I have to grow and make really smart choices. And the people we hire, I want to be able to pay them and have them know that they could depend on it and grow their lives around it. And so that's why you can't you can't get caught up in the glitter and bullshit of any business. There's always going to be something, someone telling you that you're not capable of doing something or you need XYZ to make it happen. I'm like, until today, or until like this past week, actually, I've done my entire website when we had 3 people a month to 3 people a second. And there were so many people who was like, oh, you can't do your own website. It's like, yes, I can. Like, I bet you can. Like, and I think that goes back to the belief in one's abilities and capabilities.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Oh my gosh. I'm like listing the takeaways in my head already because it's so important to not let people scare you out of your own ideas. And
oh my gosh, yes.
I'm sure you had many people who probably told you can't do this, you can't do that, or like overwhelm you with like the obstacles that will be in the way, which there will always be. But like, my goodness.
I know we had someone come in. We just took over the top floor of our building downtown LA. Our views are like literally, I mean, they're 360 views and it's insane. And this woman came up and she's like, it's going to be so hot up here because, they're old buildings. So just open the windows and we have fans. But I wanted to say, that's the comment you're making. Not, I can't believe this insane space. Like, good job. I think that we so quickly go to the struggle.
Mm-hmm.
I don't go to the struggle. I try to, not that I'm Pollyanna, but I think it's like, for example, it's socially acceptable for a woman to say, I'm fat. And everyone around her goes, no, you're not fat. No, you're not fat. You're gorgeous, whatever. But it's not socially acceptable for a woman to go, I look fucking incredible in this outfit. And my whole thing is giving women permission to say aloud, I want to get a job. I want to get laid. That's what someone said to me once about get my pants. Is that when they like wear my clothes, they do it when they need to get a job or get laid. And that's the thing that sort of went viral. That was the ad that went viral. And I didn't say it. A client said it to me. But I thought to myself, here we are giving voice to things like that are powerful. Like, so I think it's questioning this social norms.
Mm-hmm.
Like, what really is true to you and what are you driven to do? And when you're driven to do it and you see something that needs to be addressed, then that is your calling to do it. At least that's what I live by.
Yeah. I love that. Okay. What, you mentioned it already, but what are you about the new jumpsuits coming out? Is that what you're most excited about right now? Or is there something else up the pipeline that you're excited to work on?
I mean, maybe that's the most exciting thing to me because it was like my baby and I love this piece. And so I'm really excited to get that out there. I'm very, very excited for our upcoming collection for fall, winter, but I live in the future of the company. And so I'm actually designing SS24 right now. So I'm like super excited we had a fitting earlier today and I'm like, I'm super excited about this mesh dress we have. Like, I'm just like across the board. Like, I'm like excited for life and excited for growth. But I think what I'm most excited about is being a brand that women have access to wear when they need to feel armored up. And I think that's all. And I don't think that's what I think I'm most excited about is reaching. And that sounds like some back thing of like, I just want to get fucking huge. Obviously I want to do that. I want to be like the next Donna Karan, but I think there is a level of really what is the underlying thing you're excited about as a business owner. And it cannot be you. I will not chase money because I've had so many years of not having money. Like my husband and I joke about guacamole money. Like, when will we have guacamole money where you don't think about the price of guacamole when you go out to dinner?
As an ex-LA person, I know. I mean,
that's the thing. Yes. Like, we're like, it's a very big deal because you're like $11 for, and I think like you can't chase the money because that is a cheap chase. And so for me, I am committed to chasing like growth of I want women, I see the fittings, like they come into our studio and they walk in as some person and then they walk out with their turtleneck and their wide leg pant and their oversized blazer and they are a boss. And I'm like, do you need that every day? For me, I do. I like doing that every day. But there is a moment in their life where they need that. And like clothes, you can live at the surface or you can go deep. Everyone from a CEO to a stay-at-home mom, we all want to feel armored up and sexy. And I think like no matter where you are, like the more women I can reach to make them feel that way, the better.
Yeah.
So that is what I'm most excited about all the time. Like it lights me up all the time. Yeah.
You're chasing this impact on the most amount of women as opposed to the dollars. And I totally understand that. And I think like it's really easy for anybody who's to like be obsessed with how much they're going to make or if they're making enough. But it's like, if you actually chase the impact and you actually are like, how do I make sure that I'm like doing as much of this thing that it affects more people, then the money just actually comes as a byproduct of that.
Yeah,
like that's how it works out.
Yeah. It's a byproduct. And also like, I just want to be comfortable. Like, I don't need to have a ton of money. A ton of money goes through me. A ton is relative. Like I sound like a Murdoch. Like money, a small amount of money moves through me as a business owner, and some of it sticks.
Yeah.
Less than one thinks. Like people are like, you must be rolling it. It's so well. It's like it's rolling through me. Yes, of course. But it's not. It's like things. It doesn't all stick. I wish we took all of our. It's like like your sales, and I'm like. We don't, people like, you get like 80% of your sales. It's like, oh my God, I would die. I mean, what would happen if we got, so I think there's a level of like, the bigger we get doesn't necessarily mean the more money we make.
Right.
And I don't care.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not going to drive the business into a hole, but that is not what drives me.
Yeah. It's, we have products as well. And like, people are like, oh my God, you sold 300 decks. Like, I know that they can do a calculator in their head, like what that means. I'm like, so to print that.
Plus the time all the hours that it took to create that. That's not paid for.
Oh my gosh. One of the things we made was I stopped counting at over 300 hours of like the time. I just stopped. I was like, just don't even tell me. Because at that point, I'm not going to think that we're ever going to make a profit. So we're just going to walk away from that right now. But like the margins are real, everyone. And I think like, again, that's why you have to just really focus on like on the impact. And also like what you just said earlier, it's like, be obsessed, be a little bit delusional about what your idea is, because then it's more fun and you actually can show up every day, whether it's good, whether it's bad, what the obstacles are. Oh my gosh, Ripley. Okay, I have one more quick question before we take a break. You mentioned that you spend like you're like in 2024 designing right now. I find that like as a business owner as well, I spend a lot of time in the future, and then I'm like, oh, what day is today? So what are some practices that you do to like go, oh, it's still only 2023 and we're not even halfway through it? Like how do you get present, or are you still working on that? Is that
I mean, listen, I'm a total work in progress. I go to my office and I say, why do we still have these on the rack? And Ben, my husband or my team will say, because that's the season we're in. We're in SS23. Like we're still selling these things. And I'm like, oh, that's why. I also hired a creative operations lead, which helps me navigate what's happening now and what's happening in the future. But I think staying present is very, very difficult. I don't have a wise thing to say about that, except we're all works in progress.
Thank you. When you're just like, am I the like, everyone looks so peaceful and calm, and I have the morning routine down, y'all, and I have told people about it. It is the best. I love it's 3 hours long, and it is all the things I want, and I still don't know what day it is.
I mean, that's amazing. I think we call ourselves little ducks all the time because we seem super cool. And then underneath the water, I am kicking so hard that like you wouldn't, and it's not anxiety, it's action.
Yeah.
It's ideas, it's movement, it's balancing all the balls in the air. But, we can all look as cool as cucumbers, but anyone who's an entrepreneur is a extraordinary hard worker.
Yeah.
And there's no way around it because you can't fake it. Like I said to my PR team when I first hired them back in the day, we don't have them anymore, but they're amazing. But I said, when we get bigger, we're just going to hand stuff off. And she looks at me and she goes, when you get bigger, you just work harder. And I was like, what? Really? She's like, yeah, you just work harder and more. And she's like, it's awesome, but that's the truth. And I
Yeah.
thought, wow, no one had been shooting straight like that with me. So it was
Yeah.
like an awesome thing to hear. I was like, huh. Okay. And to be honest, now that I'm on the other side, very true. Very, very true.
Oh my gosh, Ripley, you are awesome. I feel like our paths probably crossed many a time in LA.
I know. And we look like sisters.
I mean, we really do. We totally do.
We do. My hair were down.
I know.
Like
I was
exactly.
just thinking, how did I not know with my hair up? You know, and so.
Well, this is like such an example of business owning, is that I planned on showering and getting gorgeous, but we had a shoot this morning and then a last minute fitting downtown in my office. So I had to run downtown, and then my team was like, you're fine. You're fine. Just stick your hair up in a ponytail. You're fine. You know, and I was like, okay, great.
I love it. Thank goodness for team. We are going to take a brief break, and then we're going to find out where people can find you, follow you, get more of your amazingness and your Be It action items. All right. So where can people stalk you or look like you, dress like you, all the things?
I don't know if anyone wants to look like me, but I'll take it. Well, our major platforms are Instagram is probably our biggest platform. It's shop@ripleyrader.com. I also have a personal, sort of a designer account at Ripley Rader. So either one is great. It's fun to sort of follow both sides. One's very curated and incredible, and one is a bit more process oriented. Our website is ripleyrader.com, RIPLEYRAD as in dog, E as in echo, R. And so that's an awesome place. That's probably the best places to reach me.
That's perfect.
You know?
Bold, executable, intrinsic targeted steps people can take to be it till they see it. What do you have for us?
Do more yourself. Don't be afraid to take something on. Do it. Do your own website. Do your own product testing. Do it yourself. Don't believe that you have to hire other people to make things happen, because if you feel called to do it, you're probably intrinsically positioned to do the job. That's probably my biggest thing.
Yeah.
Don't be afraid to do things on your own. And they might not be great. They might not be perfect, but they'll be done, and you'll learn from it. And then the next time it'll be perfect.
Yeah. Yeah. I love, somebody asked me the other day, like, which is better, done or perfect? And I was like, oh my God, done every day. Done every day.
Oh my gosh. Perfect is, well, and when I interviewed my teen girls about this, we did a whole thing on perfection. And I said to one of the girls, what would you rather be than perfect? She's 15. She looks at me and she goes, happy, impactful. What else?
Oh,
and I was like, huh, because perfection doesn't exist in our company, and I don't believe in it. And I think that the best things in life are, perfection is boring. It's like vanilla ice cream. Like, it's boring.
yep. That's what we say at the top of every show. And also I'm like, nobody wants to be friends with perfect. Like, I have a couple friends in LA who, like, I would be afraid to go to their house because it's so perfect. I'm like, are my socks even clean enough for their floors? Like, are my jeans clean enough for this white couch? Like,
Yeah, we're not precious with anything around here. Like, no, I say to all of my interns, I have a gaggle of young women, and I'm like, the goal in life is to be interesting at a dinner party. It is not to be perfect. You need really good stories in your life, because that will carry you everywhere you go. I've started this company. We're successful, blah, blah. The most interesting conversations I have with people are, when you were really poor and traveling Europe, what was your favorite hostel? This is the thing, right? Like, interesting is the goal. Perfection for losers.
Yes. Oh my God. Saving that forever. Ripley, you're phenomenal. I really do hope we get to cross paths, because
yes, if you're ever in LA, please do hit me up.
Oh, I will, because of course, we absolutely 100% look like we're related.
We do. And I have another woman on my team who looks exactly like us as well. It's like I only hang out with other.
I love it. Like attracts like. Well, you're wonderful. I'm so happy this happened. Y'all, how are you going to use these tips in your life? Please tag Ripley Rader, tag the Be It Pod, share this with a friend who needs to hear how boring perfection is and how to be it till they see it. And until next time, be it till you see it.
That's all I got for this episode of the Be It Till You See It podcast. One thing that would help both myself and future listeners is for you to rate the show and leave a review. And follow or subscribe for free wherever you listen to your podcast. Also, make sure to introduce yourself over at the Be It Pod on Instagram. I would love to know more about you. Share this episode with whoever you think needs to hear it. Help us and others be it till you see it. Have an awesome day.
Be It Till You See It is a production of the Bloom Podcast Network.
It's written, filmed, and recorded by your host, Lesley Logan, and me, Brad Kroll.
It is produced and edited by the epic team at Diseño.
Our theme music is by Ali at Apex Production Music, and our branding by designer and artist Gianfranco Cioffi.
Special thanks to Melissa Solomon for creating our visuals and Samena Velazquez for our transcriptions.
Also to Angelina Herrico for adding all the content to our website, and finally to Meredith Crowell for keeping us all on point and on time.